These are in listen-only mode.
Right, good evening everybody, and welcome to Double Your Results from AdWords in under 90 minutes. So there are currently just under 400 of you actually in attendance, and we've got lots and lots of you currently joining as I'm speaking. Right, so let me just click on show my screen. I've got people commenting saying that they can't see my screen. Apologies, that's where I was getting it ready to show the slides. Right, okay, so as some of you have already realised, if you have any questions throughout the day or throughout the session, then the best way of asking a question is by typing it into the question box. So please don't raise your hand, because there's no way that I can then actually ask you the question. So the easiest way of asking a question is by typing it into the questions box, and I will then see it and I'll be able to answer it. So I am going to be able to answer questions as I'm going along. So if you have any questions about your particular situation or how something applies to you, then do feel free to ask it. I will do my best to answer as many as I can, but do understand that this is a very busy webinar. You know, we've got a lot of us online, so we've already moved up to 427 of you online at the moment. So as you can imagine, that's going to be, well, you know, it's going to be quite busy. With hundreds, we've got several hundred of you. If you all start typing it in, then you can imagine I'm going to have a lot of questions. So I will do my best to get to you all. Right, okay, so can I check if you can hear me and if you can see my screen? My screen is static at the moment. So yes, that's right, you can just see the opening slide. So I've not moved on anywhere at the moment, I'm just talking. So yeah, fantastic, lots of you typing in that you can see. That's lovely. Right, okay, yeah, fantastic. It's lovely to have such a busy webinar. This is the biggest one that I've done, so you know it's really exciting. So thank you so much for all being here. So this session is going to take up to 90 minutes. It really does depend on the number of questions you've got. I'll hang around and answer extra questions at the end if necessary. I've heard of some webinars going on for an extra half an hour or so. So if you do have questions, then you know, do feel free to ask them throughout the day. So let's get ready to move on. Just to point out to you before we go on any further, that today's training, the free training event, is sponsored by a product that I'm launching called Red Hot Web Leads. So I'm going to give you an offer for a product, but only at the very end of the presentation, and only when I've fully delivered on my promises I've made to you all on the training that you're going to learn today. But the product that you're going to be hearing about at the end is called Red Hot Web Leads, and it's where I teach people how to set up and manage their AdWords accounts to deliver hot leads through their websites. Okay, but I'll come back to that later on. Okay, so I've got a couple of people asking, will there be notes available? So yes, the slides will be made available. I'm going to put the link up on the very last slide, and you will then be able to go and it will download as a PDF document that you can just go to File, Save As, and download the slides as a PDF document. Okay, so hopefully that answers that question. So you're in the right place today if you own any small business and you're struggling to get affordable leads from your website. You might be an internet marketer who's trying to figure out why AdWords is always draining your cash and not making any money. Or finally, you might be interested in becoming AdWords qualified yourself and offering AdWords as a management service, you know, which is, I've trained a lot of people to become AdWords qualified themselves. Okay, so if you fit into any of these criteria, then you're in the right place. So I've got some people commenting saying that the slide is cut off by an inch or two. I just want to see how I can fix that. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to fix that. My slides are actually showing in the middle of my screen, so I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to fix that. Okay, so I've got lots of you saying that it looks fine. Right, okay, somebody's commenting saying you need to alter the zoom control. So top left-hand corner, it says zoom, go to webinar viewer. You should hopefully, you can either, one way of zooming out is by holding down the control button and then using the scroll button on your mouse, or there is a Zoom controller in the top left-hand corner of the GoToWebinar viewer. And I've got people, oh, well, this is lovely. You're all helping me along so much. We've got people commenting saying that you need to zoom to about 60%, 70%, some people saying 50%. So try some percentages around there. Okay, so yep, we've got John commenting saying that he's got it now, thanks. So that's lovely. Thank you so much, everybody, for your help. Okay, so here's what you're going to learn today by hanging around. You're going to learn how to fix the 3 common mistakes that most small business owners make in their AdWords account, but most importantly, what to do about them, how to fix it, how to stop from making them ever again. You're going to learn how to stop leaking cash, so that there's one thing that you need to do in your account every week so that you're not losing money, you're not giving Google your money, so that it stays in your pocket and so that you're making a greater return on your investment. I'm also going to show you my 4 weird little tips for creating amazing AdWords adverts so that they get high click-through rates and so that they convert. And then also how to stop competitors from ever clicking your ads and even from ever seeing them again. They'll think you've stopped advertising. So this is one of my favourite things to show people, because people generally find that, that they are often worried about competitors. Okay, so I'm going to very briefly just go through why I'm qualified today to be delivering AdWords training. So in brief, I did my first degree in math, statistics and computing that took me up to the year 2000. I then worked in the NHS in waiting lists for my sins between 2000 and 2003. I then trained in 2003 to become a teacher, and I taught in secondary school, so I was teaching, IT was my main subject, and then I also taught business studies. Then excuse me. Then in 2006 I started teaching parents as well after school. So my school asked me if I would like to start teaching parents as well on an evening as overtime, and I agreed and soon realised that I really enjoyed it. So I then looked into training adults as a career, and I started freelancing. So I was teaching 3 days and freelancing every 2 days, or for 2 days a week. And I was paid £200 a day as a freelancer to train in Microsoft, so Excel, PowerPoint, etc. But I soon found out that the company was charging me out at £900 a day. So it made obvious sense that I would actually rather get the £900 a day rather than just the £200. So I decided to investigate setting up my own training company. So I set up my first company, which was Computer Training Solutions, and that was back in 2006. And to set it up, so to get started, I set up a very poor basic website and Microsoft front page. Absolutely awful package that people laugh about now, but I tell you what, it certainly did the job. And it got me my first clients, and that website lasted for about 3 or 4 years. It's quite funny. And I just mastered as much online information, so I was buying courses, I was attending courses, I was buying books. I did as much as I could to learn online marketing, to launch my IT training company. And the first clients that came through from Google AdWords were the RAC, who booked 12 courses immediately, paying me a few £1,000s, getting my company off to a flying start, and I soon realised that AdWords was the way to go. So I worked on it continuously, attending the courses, as I said, buying books, etc. And this was where I then did my 10,000 hours over the next couple of years. You know, some people say that 10,000 hours is the number of hours you need to have put into something to become an expert. That's what I did, was with Google AdWords. So my company was spending £2,000 a month on AdWords because we were getting an equivalent return. So we were getting a return of at least 10 times that. So we were making between 20 and 30,000 a month. And I was hooked. I soon realised the power of AdWords. And I grew the training company to 4 training centres across the UK. And we were holding courses in London, Birmingham, Reading and Swindon. And we had 30 scheduled courses a month within 12 months, and we hit a monthly turnover of 30,000 a month within the first year. Okay, but obviously with my training background, as well as teaching Excel and PowerPoint, I soon realised that it made sense to actually set up Google AdWords courses, because I recognised that there was a need for small business owners to actually learn AdWords and follow the same process that I had. So using my teaching knowledge and the process, and the spreadsheets, etc., all the other things that I'd learned along the way, I developed AdWords courses, and I developed the first public courses, as in courses that people could book in on and attend. And they were in London and Bristol. Well, in fact, they still are in London and Bristol. And I was holding them bi-monthly, and I have done that ever since 2008. And I've trained a variety of different companies, so other web marketing agencies who were at the startup stage, so Gold Search, Livora, RH Advertising, and lots of others. Marketing departments of some larger companies, including Fast Hosts and Names.co.uk. And also e-commerce website teams, and then lots and lots of business owners in practically every industry that you can think of. Okay, so I then moved on to writing books on AdWords, which my 2009 book's no longer in print because that's how fast AdWords moves on. So that was called Successful Google AdWords Strategies. It's very out of date these days. So in 2012 I wrote How to Get Selling Fast on AdWords, and I then also recorded an AdWords DVD set. So that was in 2009. But that again is no longer in print. I'm no longer selling that because Google has just moved on so fast. It's no longer up to date, so it's just not fair to sell it anymore. But I soon started receiving lots of referrals for AdWords inquiries. So I've got a couple of people saying that they can't hear me at the moment. Would you just mind typing in if you can hear me? I've got a couple of people, Gary and Victoria, have commented to say they can't hear me. Right, okay. It might just be that some people's sound is playing up. Maybe they've not got the speakers attached. Okay, no problem. Right, so I then I got hundreds of replies from you all. Thank you, it's lovely. Yeah, hear you loud and clear. Hear you in Spain. Have you on headphones, nice and clear. Lovely. Thank you so much for your feedback. You really reassured me. So I soon started receiving lots of referrals for AdWords inquiries from people who'd either attended the courses and had then got really busy, or people who referred me to friends, etc. And so I then set up my second company, which is called Marketing by Web. And I built that from 2009 to 2012, and I built my agency. So it was an AdWords agency, and I took it to 65 monthly clients. I actually took it to 50 monthly clients before taking on any staff at all. So that was an extremely busy, chaotic time, as you can probably imagine. But I then started taking on graduates, mainly marketing graduates, and I trained them myself, obviously using my skills as a teacher and trainer. And they're #1 in google.co.uk for a number of search terms. So we were getting lots and lots of business and lots of referrals. But we developed lots of solid processes for every area of the business, so how to set up campaigns, how to manage campaigns, reporting, etc. But I sold the agency Marketing by Web back in November 2012, and that was to concentrate on consulting. So I'm now consulting just with a handful of clients, and then also training for small business owners, which is where my main focus is now. So today I am, and I have always been since 2008, I'm the top ranked AdWords trainer in Google worldwide. So wherever you are in the world, if you type in AdWords trainer, my site is top worldwide. I'm top ranked worldwide. I'm working as a consultant, so working as an AdWords consultant with a handful of larger clients and marketing agencies and a couple of other small businesses. And they, hopefully, lots of you will recognise Names.co.uk and Register 365, because many of you, the majority of you that are on the call today, have actually been invited here by Names or Register 365. Because they recognise that this was something that would be of interest to you. So typically I'm managing larger budgets, 50,000 a month upwards, and then working on consulting some smaller businesses on smaller budgets. So let's get started. Okay, so I just want you to very quickly type in to your questions box how much you're currently spending on AdWords. If at all. So if nothing at all, that's fine. Lots of you typing in 0, so I've got at least 50% of you typing in 0. Yep, okay, so I've got some of you typing in 150 a day, €100 a month, £50 a month, £100 a month. Some of you putting in 12,000 a month, so we have got some of you who are spending higher amounts. Right, okay, lovely. But I think that's at least half of you that are totally new. Somebody who's written there, 0, you were afraid to take a chance. Yep, that's fine. And then, so we've got lots of you who are totally new. So, and then lots of you who are spending, you know, sort of like a couple of hundred a month. So dipped your toe in the water, as you've put it. Okay, so that was lovely. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so we're going to jump now into the content for the course. And we're going to start off by talking about the top 3 mistakes that AdWords users make. So the top mistake that people make with Google AdWords is not realizing that the advert heading needs to match the keywords. So to start with, what I'm going to do, before I jump into actually explaining about it, matching the keywords, I'm going to point out to you which are the AdWords adverts. So hopefully you can see that this is a cream color box. So we've got a cream color box that's actually appearing at the top of the page. So I've done a search for florists in Bristol. We've then got a cream color box which has got 3 examples of adverts, and then we've got up to 8 down the right hand side. So we've got 3 in the cream color box and then up to 8 down the right hand side. Now these are AdWords adverts, and then underneath it, where I've got Interflora, Yale.com, etc., those are the organic results. So we won't be covering those today. Now lots of people don't realize that the cream color box is adverts. So at least half of the people, well, maybe 40% of people, when polled, were asked if they recognized that the cream color box was adverts, and up to 40% of people don't realize that they are actually adverts. So if people tell you that they don't click AdWords adverts, it might be that they mean the ones on the right hand side, that they are referring to the fact that they don't realize when they're clicking in the cream color box that that is actually adverts. So AdWords adverts are, so I've got people explaining what are they completely from scratch as well. So AdWords adverts are the sponsored ads that appear on the Google page when somebody does a search, basically. So in this case, we've got somebody has done a search for florists in Bristol. What I want you to look at is the fact that we've got a cream colour box, as I've just mentioned, which has sponsored listings in. So these sponsored listings are AdWords adverts, and people have placed those adverts there. But what people don't realise is the fact that, can you see how every time Google has found the word that matches what people have typed? So somebody's typed florists in Bristol. Every time, either in the AdWords advert or in the organic results underneath, every time Google's found a match, it has placed it in bold. So here in the advert heading, we've got serenataflowers.com at the top, so I'm waggling my mouse over it. Can you see how florists in Bristol in the heading of that advert is actually in bold? So lots of people don't realise that with Google, when you write an advert, it's really important to make sure that you match the keywords that people have typed. So you can't have just one advert for hundreds of keywords, because how can that one advert fit in all of those keywords? It's just not possible. So instead, your advert needs to be created to match the keyword. So you do need to break the campaign up. So I'll just show you a couple more examples down here on the right hand side. So we've got florist in Bristol, flower delivery Bristol. Can you see how flower delivery isn't in bold? but the word Bristol is. That's because these two words don't match, but one of them does match. Okay, so I've got somebody commenting, so Nadine's commenting here saying you're not limited to the number of characters you can include on the first line. Yes, you are, but wherever possible you need to match it as closely as possible. So you've got up to 25 characters, so you match it as closely as possible. Okay, so somebody said what's the difference from the top ads to the side ads? The top ads are paying more, quite simply, because the click-through rates, more people will click it if it's in the cream colour box, and less people will click it if it's on the right-hand side. So people pay more to get into the cream colour box because they know they're likely to get more sales as a result. So it's as simple as that. Okay, so what should happen is Google wants to see the keyword in the advert somewhere, and I suggest the heading, okay, which was the same as the examples we just looked at. So what should happen is Google wants to see each keyword in the advert somewhere so that it can place it in bold. And what will then happen is the click-through rate will be higher, as in the click-through rate being the percentage of people that see it that click it. So if 100 people see the advert and only 5 click it, then that's a click-through rate of 5%, which is quite a good click-through rate, by the way. So the click-through rate will be higher if you manage to get your advert matching what people search for. So you'll have greater relevance. This is better for users because they see an advert in bold. They see that you've got an advert that matches what they were looking for. It's better for Google because they get more cash because people think it's more relevant. So Google's happy, you're happy, it works better for everybody. Okay, so I've got a few more questions coming in here. I think I'm not going to be able to answer all of them merely because I've got hundreds of questions coming through at the moment. It's going to be quite difficult to know, or it's going to be quite difficult to actually answer every person's question. So let me go and start trying to answer some of these. Okay, so how do you know what keywords people will use? Mark has asked. So you would use a keyword research tool in order to do that. And an example of a keyword research tool is the Google keyword tool. So Nigel's asked, how do you know what to pay to get into the cream box? Quite simply, Nigel, you enter a test bid of 50p, a pound, and you see whereabouts it falls on the page, and you then put it up until you fall in the cream box. So it's as simple as that. There's no real scientific method. How do you deal with brand names? Asks Chris. Now, Interflora is a bit of an interesting case there, Chris, because Interflora have tried and have actually it's taken Marks and Spencer's to court for advertising on their brand, Interflora. And so you do need to be quite careful. So what the legal situation is with brand names is that you can bid on the keyword phrase. So you could bid on Interflora or you could bid on Marks and Spencer's, but what you mustn't do is actually then pass yourself off as them. So you shouldn't then pretend to be them by writing an advert about, about Marks and Spencer's, for example. So Ben has asked, is it true that the top right is the best place to try and get your ad? Ben, we always find we get the best results if it's in the top 3, so probably about 90% of the time it's in the top cream box. Darren has asked, are phrases accepted as keywords? Yes, I use the two interchangeably. So a keyword phrase is quite often 2, 3, 4 words. Danny has said, how come some of those adverts in the yellow box had more than 25 characters in the top line? That's because the top, if you're in the cream colour box, what happens is the heading and line 1 get placed alongside each other. So that was actually the heading and line 1 actually next door to each other. So that's what happened there. Jez has asked if there's 50 keywords, should I create multiple adverts? Yes, definitely. So that's what you would be doing. So that's what we're about to come on to now. John said it's helpful already. Thank you very much, John. How do you find out the best keywords to include? So that would be the keyword research, which we won't be covering in fact, we won't be covering keyword research today, but that is covered in either my online course, or there are other ways you could find that out. Ruth says, does the 25 characters include spaces? Yes, it does. Okay. I'm just scrolling through the questions, because some of them people have asked the same questions I asked previously. Maria wants to know, why was the bar iron, why was there ranking data showing? That was just because I've got some SEO tools installed, so don't worry about that. Jason said, how does a small business compete with bigger companies? In fact, the internet has leveled the playing field for small businesses to compete against the bigger companies, because here, if you do your own AdWords and you are willing to put the time into it, then you will know your market far better than a bigger company that's using an ad agency to do so, that they don't really understand their products and services. You will understand your customers far better, so you can get inside your customer's head, you can write better adverts. So really the internet has leveled the playing field totally. Right, okay, so let's move on now on to the second mistake. So we've got, let's imagine that we've got keyword lists for a children's wear retailer. So let's imagine that, and I have seen this type of thing before, somebody set up one AdWords advert in one group for lots of keywords. So we're imagining that these keywords are all in together. So we've got baby wear, children, parenting, baby care, children's wear, having a baby, buying children's wear. Oh yeah, apologies for the typo there. So what happens is people will try and lump together all of those keywords in together with just one advert. But bearing in mind what I just showed you, how can one advert match all of those keywords? So as you can see from what I just showed you, it's just physically not possible. So what should happen is every keyword would have its own ad group with its own matching advert. So I'm appreciating this is going to be sounding like a fair amount of work, but you can start off with just doing a few at a time. And I'm just going to show you an example here. So we've got, for the keyword AdWords training, I've got that as the keyword or keyword phrase, AdWords training. I then have that as the ad group name, and I then have that as the title of the advert. So you can see that here I've got AdWords training. You can see in this case I've actually got the domain name next to it. That's because it's appearing in the top 3. Google have been testing putting the domain name next to it as well. That's not something I can choose to do. That's something that Google have done for me, put the domain name just there. Right, okay, so I've got a couple more questions coming up. So Neville has asked, we're a small local dance school, so our customers are local. Can you localize clicks? Yes, you most definitely can. We're not going to cover that today, but it is something you can do. You can actually set it up within a geographical area. Right. Leah has said, can you explain ad group again? So an ad group is the container for the keywords. So an ad group contains certain keywords. Okay, and then an AdWords campaign contains the ad groups within it. Okay, so Sharon's asked, how do I get these little links here appearing? These are called site links. So level 1 AdWords, level 2 AdWords, etc. Those are cool. Those are site links. Okay. Right, okay. So I've got quite a few more questions, but the questions have started getting more and more detailed about particular situations that mean that it's going to make more sense now, considering the sheer volume of questions that I've got coming in at the moment. I think I'll just pick the ones that apply to something that you all need to learn, but the more specific ones I will do my best to answer at the end, which I think is, I'm getting a couple of comments from people saying that they would find that more beneficial. Okay, so the steps that you would need to take are to split up your AdWords account into lots of smaller groups called ad groups. And then, as with the first mistake that I showed you. You just want one keyword phrase in every ad group, making sure that you don't make mistake number 1. So you're going to make sure that the keywords go into the heading in each advert. Okay, so that will mean that you don't then make mistake number 2. Okay, so the number 3 mistake that people make, so the third most common mistake that people make, is not looking at something called quality score. So quality score is a score between 1 and 10, which belongs to each keyword, with 10 being the best and 1 being the worst. And you actually need to display it as a column. If you want to display it as a column, you need to display it in your AdWords account. So I'm just going to very quickly go and jump into AdWords and demonstrate this for you. Okay, sorry, apologies, I thought I'd left this bit open, but I hadn't. Okay, so here's what you would need to do. So this is also demonstrated in the on the slides. It did show you whereabouts you would click. So in AdWords, you would go to Keywords, you would then go to Columns, you would then click on Customize Columns, you would make sure that you were on Attributes, and next to Qual Score there would be an add sign. You can see mine already says it's been added because mine's already present in here. Okay, and then what will happen is you can now see Qual Score down here on the right hand side. So you can see that I've got Qual Score 5, 6, etc. If I sort it by that, you can see I've got some 7s, etc. Okay, let me just go and take it back to the right slide. Okay, so what you're going to be aiming for is to get it as high as possible. Okay, so you're going to be aiming for 7s and ideally getting it to 10s, although sometimes 5 is, is the benchmark. 5 is going to be the highest that you can get it. So let's go and look at why you need to worry about quality score. So here's the difference that quality score makes for every single keyword. So if quality score is 10, your cost per click versus if the quality score is 5 is 50%. Okay, so let me just run through that again. So your cost per click is how much you pay for every single click, versus if it was 5, which is the standard, means you get a 50% discount. So what this means is that if you can get your quality score from a 5 to a 10, you end up getting 50% off of every single keyword. If it's a 9, you get a discount of 44%. If it's an 8, you get a discount of 37%. If it's 7, 28.6%, and so on. But look what happens if it starts dropping below 5. So if it gets to a 4, you start paying more, so you pay 25% more. If it's 3, you start paying 67% more, and so on. And then you can start seeing what happens if you get lower quality scores. And what will then happen is the fact that Google will stop showing your adverts at all. It will start putting your competitors in their place instead. So, that's unfortunately what would happen. Okay, so if you're currently paying £10 a click, by getting your quality score to £10, you'd only be paying £5 a click. But people tend to totally overlook this factor because they don't understand it. It's the most important cost element in your entire account. But how do you increase quality score? So the main factor for quality score and getting your costs down excuse me, is relevance and click-through rate. So what you need to do is make sure that you are doing what I've previously explained. Match your advert to each keyword so that the click-through rate goes up, ideally creating a single ad group for each keyword. What will then happen is your click-through rate will increase, your quality score will increase, your costs will come down, and conversions will go up. The reason conversions will go up is because people see that your adverts are more relevant, so they're much more likely to convert as well. Excuse me, I'm going to have some water a minute. I've suddenly got a tickly throat. Bob there typing bless you. No, sorry, I wasn't sneezing, I was coughing, thank you. And no, it's all right, I've got others of you typing bless you as well. Okay. So, that was quality score. Okay, before we move on from quality score, I've just made a note to myself to point out to you, quality score is not hugely affected by the page you send them to. So it used to be that quality score would go down if your page didn't have the keyword on there somewhere. That's no longer the case. The case now is the fact that Google would check your quality score, check your landing page isn't spammy, and as long as it's not spammy and your site's of reputable quality, they don't actually look at the content of your page anymore. They used to, but they don't anymore. So we've got one question here that I'm going to answer quickly, saying, do you know your rating before you officially go live with it? That's a question from Brandon. Until your campaign goes live, whatever quality score you have while paused is not accurate. So the quality score doesn't begin to update until the campaign goes live. Okay, so on now to the one essential task to do each week. So if you had just half an hour per week, where should you focus your time? So you want to see where your money is going, what your money is being spent on, what keywords Google's showing your advert for. So you would want to make sure that you're running what's called a search query report every week. And a search query report sounds complicated, but it's actually really easy. So you just need to go to the Keywords tab. You set the date selector to the last 7 days, so that's shown on this particular diagram that you will get a copy of in the slides. So the first time you might want to do it for all time, so you can see what your money's been spent on previously. But this is one of the things you would then do on a 7-day basis, and you then just go to Keyword Details and All. And this will now show you all of the keywords that you've previously paid for. So what are you looking for? Okay, so there's my description there, just pointing out to you the different things you need to pay attention to. So what are you looking for in your weekly report? You're looking for keywords that are not relevant. So one of the stories I tell people is how I discovered once that my adverts had been clicked on by somebody that was looking for dog training. Google had accidentally shown them my advert because I had a setting on called broad match that we won't be covering today, but it basically means Google matches it against things that it thinks are closely related. So what happened is I found in one of these weekly reports that Google had shown Excel adverts to people looking for dog training. And I found this from one of these particular reports, and I was able to then add it as a negative keyword. So negative keywords are found at the bottom of the Keywords tab, and what you do is you add them ideally as a single negative, so things like free, cheap, dog, anything like that. Any towns that you don't want to cover, for example, you might want to add those. And you make sure you add those, and that will save you hundreds of pounds, plus because your advert no longer shows for it, your click-through rate will go up, that will increase your quality score, and that means that your costs will come down, and so on and so on. Okay, so you can see how important this is. It's very important to look for new negatives weekly. What you would then also do is find new keywords that Google's found for you. So Google will have matched it against similar keywords that it thinks are helpful. Some of them will actually be helpful. Now, if this is the case, you find a new keyword that is helpful, what you do is you add it back in as a new ad group, making, obviously, as I said previously, making that new keyword the advert heading. These new keywords will bring you even more leads because you've got an advert that's specifically tailored to the new keyword that you found. Okay. So I just got a couple of questions coming through. Yes, that's right. Yep, you keep it specific, Rob. Okay, and Ruth says, do you need a new ad for each ad group? Yes, you definitely do, Ruth. Yeah. Okay, so I'll move on now because the rest of the questions are more specific, detailed ones. So as I've promised you, I'm going to show you how to write great adverts. So here's my funny little tips that double your click-through rate overnight. So to start with, your keywords go in the advert heading. Okay, so I've already explained to you. You've then got lines 1 and 2, which are up to 35 characters each, and you use those for maximum impact. So to start with, write in title case. So title case is, as I've written there in bold, can you see how I've capitalized the first letter of every word? So capital W, capital I, capital T, etc. Title case. And that's the whole advert, not just the heading, the whole advert. And the reason you do that is because it's been statistically proven to increase click-through rate. So it's now just accepted best practice that this is the thing to do. So that's one tip. Okay, so secondly, try creating a question that hides a benefit or that they subconsciously think yes to. So you might want a question like looking for AdWords training, or are you looking for a beautiful engagement ring, or looking for a christening gift. So any question in line 1 normally is the best place to put the question. Ask a question that hides either a benefit or that they can't resist thinking yes to, that's what I want. That will mean that they are attracted to your advert, and this can double click-through rates overnight. So this is a really good tip to definitely try. You could also try using figures such as dates and numbers. So you can see in my example there, so London the 13th and the 14th of May, book now. So I've even included a call to action on the end there. So what you don't want is phone numbers, and if you do put phone numbers in, what will happen is your adverts are going to get banned by Google. So if you do already have phone numbers in your adverts, you're going to need to go through and take those out, because those are no longer allowed with the new enhanced campaigns that are being rolled out by Google next month. And what you should not do, which is very common for some of the smaller AdWords agencies, they will have set up quite basic adverts for people. You do not want your company name in the heading. So if your company name is currently in an advert that somebody else has set up for you, that needs changing urgently. Not urgently as in it's going to get you into trouble with Google, but urgently as in it's not doing you any good as a business. So the heading needs to be, well, the whole advert needs to be about what they want. So your company name shouldn't go in the advert. So yes, what about web addresses? Should we include those? Yes, you do need the destination URL, and display URL is where you then pop the website name, obviously. So that's not included in what I meant here. So why should you not include your company name, Ashley? So quite simply because it uses up valuable space. The advert's about what people want to see. And somebody here, Jamie, says extend my ads with a phone number is an option that he's seen in Google. Yes, that it then takes up a separate line. What I mean is your phone number should not appear within the main part of the advert. It's fine to have a phone number appearing so that if people search on an iPhone, they can then click to call you straight away. That's called a click to call, but that's different. So that's not the same type of thing here. Okay. So somebody said that they didn't understand what I meant about hiding a benefit. Sorry about that, Jim. By hiding a benefit, let me think of an example that I wrote once, was the benefit of Excel training is quite often that people do their jobs faster or they get promoted. So I wrote an advert which is, did you know attending our courses can enhance your career? So it's that type of thing where you think what is it they're trying to get from your product, and you then write a question about the benefit. Excuse me, I'm just going to have another drink again shortly. In a very dry throat here doing all this talking. Right, okay. Mike says you're not sure whether they're saying put the phone number and the company name in the advert or not. The advert, no. The phone number does not go in the advert, it goes in what's called the call extension. And the company name, no, that definitely doesn't go in either. Yes, I have got a cold, thank you. A couple of people checking up on me. Very, very kind. I am just recovering from a cold. But I'm better now, so just got a bit of a tickly throat. Okay, so next thing we're going to look at is how to stop competitors from clicking your adverts. So competitors can make or break your account, because what will happen is they will repeatedly click on your advert. So this doesn't happen in all markets, by all means. So for example, I've worked with charities that, you know, this type of thing doesn't happen. Charities don't click each other's ads. But what can happen is they will click on your adverts. And they will click on it repeatedly, and Google do have some technology in place to stop them from doing this. But even if you still pay for 1 click a day, imagine 1 click a day, 10 competitors, that could £3 a click, that's costing you £30 a day. Okay, so that can work out very, very expensive. So I'm going to show you a tool called Clicky. So it's clicky.com, or I've got a link there you can get to it from. You need their IP address so that you can then block them. And once you've got their IP address, it means they no longer see your adverts. So what you do is you put Clicky code on your website. So you would give this to your web designer. They would place it in the same way as they do with Google Analytics, so it goes onto every page. And from this point forwards, you can So can you hear me now? Sorry, people are saying that you can't hear me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Ah, right, okay. Yeah, apologies. Yeah, okay, the screen's supposed to be black at the moment. It's because I was getting ready to swap to a different package. So I don't know what happened then. I think possibly I might have kicked the my headset. Apologies for that. Yep, okay, so I'm back into Clicky. So here we are on clicky.com. Right, okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at the Visitors tab. And if I was to set the date frame here to, let's say, the last 28 days, okay, and then what I would look at is the most active visitors. Who comes back most often? Okay, so I would look to see who has been visiting multiple times. Okay, so if I was to click on this person, you can see they've visited 4 times. What I'm looking for is somebody who's visited from an AdWords ad. So somebody here would show as having been from an AdWords ad. Let's try that one. Okay, so here's one that came from an AdWords ad. So, so Rob's telling me I'm sounding like a Dalek. Yeah, I do apologise. It's because I've got a tickly throat and I'm talking lots. I'm gradually getting a drier throat. So what we're looking for is this green symbol here shows it came from an AdWords ad. So this person has then been to the site 4 times. Now they only clicked an AdWords ad once. What you're looking for is if we had a second dollar symbol just here, that would have meant they clicked on it a second time. If we had it a 3rd time here and a 4th time here, I would be starting to worry. So this person's only clicked on an AdWords ad once, so this is obviously fine. Now what I have found in the past, I don't have any suspicious campaigns to show you, luckily for me, so I don't have any with live data, so I can only show you this demonstration. But what would happen is this person, if they've made 4 visits, all from the same IP address, then I might choose to block that particular person. So I would want that IP address, so I'm going to do this just for demonstration purposes. So I've copied that IP address, so right click, copy. I'm going to then go into AdWords. Clicky is free. Yes, it's free for the first user, somebody's asked. Yeah, free for the first user. I've got multiple sites on it, so I pay. But for the first user, it should be free. And if I then click on Settings, I'm going to go into the settings for the campaign. Okay, so I'm then going to scroll to the bottom, and at the bottom I've got something called IP exclusions. Okay, so I've clicked IP exclusions, manage IP exclusions, and Alex, yes, I did mean, sorry, the first website. Yeah, first website, first user that you want to track in Clicky. So I would then copy and paste that in there and save it. Now obviously this is a genuine visitor, so I don't actually want to block that person there. But I would have saved it, and what that would then mean is that person would then have thought I'd actually stopped advertising completely. As far as they were aware, I'd stopped advertising. Now we have had to sometimes do this for your own organisation. What can happen is if you've got lots of staff, they're clicking your AdWords ads without you realising it. So you sometimes need to take your own IP address out. So we have done that at names.co.uk, for example. So we did do that because we found that we were getting clicks by accident. So it is worth doing that. Now you cannot get the IP addresses, as far as I'm aware, you cannot get the IP addresses before you start, unfortunately. So that is not possible. You do need to wait until you've been able to use that tool. Okay, so it is a very easy tool to install. If you use WordPress, for example, there's a WordPress plugin which is free, which is called Clicky by Yoast. Somebody's asked, I'm an IT company, so David said, I'm an IT company, how do I stop recruitment companies clicking my AdWords? Oh, wouldn't you just love that? Unfortunately, you can't. Very, very frustrating when people click your advert and then try and sell you something. Not a lot you can do about that, unfortunately. This is mainly for stopping competitors. Okay, so let's now go back to, what slide are we on? We're on slide 24. Okay. So as you can see from my screenshot, I've shown you whereabouts how to find the information to stop the competitors from clicking your ads. And you will block them forever. Okay, so here's what you've learned so far today. How to avoid the top 3 mistakes AdWords advertisers make. Matching keywords to the advert, don't have too many keywords per ad group. Examining and focusing on your quality score. The report that you need to run weekly to save cash and find new keywords that work. How to write really great adverts and how to prevent your competitors from clicking or even viewing your adverts. Okay, so I'm just having a look through the questions, see if there's any that are well, lots of these are very specific questions, so probably not a lot of benefit for me to answer them for the whole group at the moment. So Justin's commented saying there's never realised there was so much to AdWords. Well, at the end of the day, that's why there is a whole career path built, built by people out of it. So, obviously, and it changes all the time as well. So there's a huge amount that you need to be aware of. So, okay, so we will then have time for more questions shortly later. But I just want to just quickly ask you, have I delivered what I promised that you were going to learn today? Right, okay, lots of yeses. Yep, yes, thank you, yes, super, thank you, yes, thanks. Fried my brain, but in a good way, fantastic. That's lovely. Yep, so some really lovely comments there, fantastic. Okay, so I'm not sure why you showed up today in the first place to learn about AdWords. It might be because your AdWords account wasn't making money. It could be because you're expanding and you want to set up a new AdWords account to bring in leads. It might be you're brand new to AdWords, of course. It could be because you recognize offering AdWords as a service is a great revenue stream. So I've developed an online training course which has got 34 short videos, so they're all less than 5 minutes each, and more are being added each week. It's got step-by-step processes and instructions, and then regular weekly and monthly updates to keep the content up to date as it changes. So I'll just very briefly talk to you about that before we go into the Q&A session. So what will I get in Red Hot Web Leads? So you will get exactly what keywords to bid upon. So we talk about something called a keyword pathway, where you can get inside people's heads to understand which keywords are going to result in buyers and which won't. So that's really important. So some of the keywords that you're bidding on might not be relevant. So I do discuss buying keywords. I then take you through stealing your competitors' keywords and adverts. So a shortcut to setting up your account. I show you exactly how to use tools to get the keywords that work and the adverts that are working for them. So you can even see the adverts that they're currently using. So that's the best way to set up a new account from day one, because your competitors have already done the hard work. So how to track your results, how to set up conversion tracking, so you track leads and sales through your website, how to track phone calls, and yes, you can track phone calls, and then tools to build hundreds of adverts extremely fast. Okay, so I've got a tool that I've developed. So obviously I've shown you how many ad groups you're going to need. You can imagine setting up 50 ad groups or 100 ad groups taking you a very long time. So I've developed a tool that actually allows you to do that in minutes. I've then got the processes that I developed in my previous company that I am then releasing to you for you to follow step by step. How to set up adverts for mobile phones and iPads, how to create amazing adverts, keeping up to date with all the latest changes, and then networking with like-minded people. So we've got a Facebook group that we've set up where we've currently got lots of members in there all discussing AdWords and how they can help each other, and then I'm a moderator for that group. So if you would like to learn exactly how to set up your AdWords account step by step and what to do to manage it on an ongoing basis, then I'm releasing this product with extra bonuses today if anybody wants to buy it today. So I've got a private strategy session with me over the phone that can be booked at any time. 6 AdWords audits where I will audit your account and go through it and identify what's going wrong and what needs changing. A full website and landing page critique, and then the private Facebook group to network and ask questions. Plus, it actually then comes with 2 new bonuses that I've literally just added today. So it's 2 tickets to my face-to-face courses if you wanted to come and attend a face-to-face course as well. And they are the full courses from helpwithppc.com, and they're normally $345 each, so that's a value of $690. Plus VAT, and then templates to set up the accounts in minutes. So these templates will allow you to set up an AdWords account that would normally take you, well, I don't know, best part of a couple of days. You can actually do it in minutes, and that's what we use every day to actually set up AdWords accounts. So it actually comes with a 90-day guarantee, so in case you're not happy for any reason, then you just let me know and you get all your money back. Okay, so as I've mentioned, it comes with the fast action bonus, and that's only for those signing up in the next 24 hours. So it's the templates and the face-to-face courses. So I've literally just added these on today. And the courses I hold in Bristol and London, and I hold those at least 6 times a year. And so you don't get those added on as well. So that's only for those signing up in the next 24 hours. So this is where you can find it. It's at redhotwebleads.com. I will show you the website very briefly as well. So the price is £197 plus VAT for the whole course, and it comes with all of the modules. It comes with 34 videos, all of the course materials. It comes with weekly question and answer webinars. It comes with the private call with me, and it comes with the face-to-face courses. And then for all the updates, you then get you then pay £39.50 plus VAT per month until you cancel. So you carry on subscribing for as long as you like. Okay. Excuse me, goodness me. So somebody's asked me if we could go back to the previous slide. We probably don't need to because I can show you this slide. So here's what you get. It's full step-by-step instructions for setting an AdWords account up. And if you struggle at any step of the way, you book your private call with me, and I will then take you through setting it up. All the processes you need for managing your account in half an hour a week, videos showing every step of the way, and then it's updated continuously. So I've been doing weekly Q&A webinars that I then upload to the system in case you can't make it. So any questions that you want answered, I will answer. And a private strategy session, 6 AdWords audits, the website and landing page critique, and the private Facebook group. So that's redhotwebleads.com. Right, okay, I'm just going to show you it very briefly before we jump into more Q&A. Okay, and then I will then give you the web link as well. Okay, the link to the slides. So here is the sales page for it, okay? So it's one of these long pages that explains to you all of the different things I've explained to you today. So redhotwebleads.com, so it explains all of the different things that you get. It's a membership site with lots of videos, and you've then got links to books, your sessions, and you've then got your bonus, as I've explained. So the free place at my face-to-face courses, so 2-day courses. Okay, and then you just quite simply sign up here by clicking the Get Access Now button. Right, okay, so I've got a couple of questions coming up about the actual course. So what's in the update for the subscription? Right, well, it's the Facebook group which we then so that's where I will moderate. So you will then ask questions and I will moderate and answer your questions. You will then get weekly question and answer webinar sessions, and I then update videos weekly, fortnightly, monthly. Every time there's a new update with Google, I then put a new video in there. So it means that your system never goes out of date. So it basically is keeping it up to date. And there's also help within the course if you want to pass your exams, AdWords exams. So just looking through more questions. Okay. Right, lots of these are more specific about particular AdWords questions. I'll be able to go back to those very, very shortly. Okay, so okay, which slide are we on? I will jump to slide 36. Okay, so just a reminder that if you're not happy at any point, it has got a 90-day guarantee. So simply let me know if you're not happy and you can have all the money back. So for the last time, everything you need to get your AdWords account set up properly, manage it in less than half an hour a week, and all the updates so you stay on top of the constant changes. So we've got the fast action bonus, so we've got weekly question and answer sessions, the templates that I use, and then, as I said, I've literally just added this bonus in case you wanted to come on a face-to-face course as well, because some people do want to come on the face-to-face course as well. I've added that on as well. Okay, so that's redhotwebleads.com. Okay, so let's move on now. So I will put the link up for the slides, which I can see some of you are asking me for. So there you go, that's the link for the slides. Okay, so I'm now going to start going back through some questions. It might help me out if you want to type your question in again so that I can see it again rather than, because I've got hundreds of questions in here. Right, okay, so positive, negative, anything to do with broad matches, phrase matches, I'm not going to cover today because obviously that wasn't part of today's training session. Can an ad group only have one advert? Asked Simon. No, you would normally have more than one advert and you would do something called split testing. Okay, so site links isn't something that we're covering today. Obviously I just pointed out what it was to somebody very quickly, but it's not something that I'm covering in the training today. Okay, so Carla wants to know, my site's not finished yet, is there any point in buying it today? You can buy it today and you can then reserve your training slot until your site's gone live. And in fact, if you were to do the course now and then cover landing pages, etc., that type of thing, then you would hopefully be able to help your web designer advise them on the type of site layout that you wanted for AdWords purposes. Even if you are a real newbie, Deirdre, this course is fine for you. So this course is aimed at everybody from complete beginners right up to advanced. I've had people who've attended my courses. I've got lots of people in the Facebook group who are actually offering AdWords as a service. I cover all levels. You're welcome, Marcus. He said thank you. So the AdWords exams that I mentioned, so you can become an AdWords professional, and that's what some people that are involved in marketing or business coaches and AdWords people that work in AdWords as consultants choose to take these exams, and they are exams that Google provides that then mean that you're qualified at the end of it. So okay, tell you what, I've got so many questions coming in here. It's lovely to have such an active group. Right, so let me start going through some of these. What would I say is the minimum spend per month to make AdWords worthwhile? Asked Belinda. So Belinda, I would say that normally it's anything from a couple of pounds a day upwards. So normally around about £5 a day would be a good level to run a test campaign. Anything less than that, I think you'd be struggling. If you can go from a couple of pounds a day up to £5 a day just for running a test, then that should help, depending on your market, of course. Is quality score only affected by relevance? Asks Ant. No, it's also affected by your account history as well. If you've run an account for a very long time with a low quality score, sometimes it can actually be worth setting up a new account because the past history of running adverts means that your new adverts are dragged down, so to speak. So sometimes it's a good idea to actually set up a new campaign. Just looking through the more questions. Okay, Craig, no, it would be, has said £5 per ad. £5 per day with a cost per click of around about 50 pence, for example, something like that. That would be up to 10 clicks a day. Content adverts are killing us, says Patrick. Well, content adverts are extremely difficult, and I can imagine that they are very difficult to get working for. So that's a different type of AdWords ad. So I think it probably would be better if we had a separate chat about that afterwards. Jim wants to know if the strategy sessions are best booked at the start of the course. That's entirely up to you. You can have it right at the very beginning if you want, to help you inform the campaign so that you know what you're going to be doing, or you could have a go for a week or so first, or you could leave it run for a month. It's entirely up to you, and there's always more that you can book and pay for if you want further down the line. So it's not as if I'm not available. And you can ask questions in the Facebook group as well. Excuse me, so I'll just have another drink again. Rob wants to know, can you get notice without AdWords? Well, it depends on your market, really. most people these days go to Google and do a search. So if you're in a market where people do that, then really you need to be using AdWords, unfortunately. If you're in a market where people don't search on Google, then obviously you're fine. So only you know, really. You know your market better than I do in this case. I've got Megdip has asked, do I set up mobile AdWords campaigns differently? You can no longer separate them out in new enhanced campaigns. So no, you no longer set them up differently. You actually set them and run them together, and you just put mobile bids slightly differently. So you might want to bid less or more. So Locksmith, for example, would bid more. Mark says he signed up. Excellent, lovely. Russell wants to know if I'm planning to run a face-to-face course in Scotland. Not in the near future, to be honest. So I don't tend to make it far out of Bristol and London. I've been asked to run them in Bristol, in Birmingham and Manchester, but never made it even up that far, I'm afraid. So it's unlikely I'll be running it in Scotland. So no, I'm afraid you probably need to come down to London or Bristol or do the online course, of course. Okay, Gemma wants to know about where can you see what's been searched. So that was in the search career report that I showed you earlier. What about Ireland? I wouldn't be going to Ireland to do a course either, unfortunately. No, but that's why I've developed the online courses, so I can get to more people. Okay, so there should be a recording of the session available. I'm hoping that it's worked. It did work the past couple of times I've done it. So yes, I will be recording. Just sending around the recording tomorrow. Okay, so let me just keep going through. Do I use anything other than the Google keyword tool to research keywords? Yes, Darren. I use competitor research tools. So what I will tend to do is I'll do some competitor research, find out what keywords competitors are bidding on, and use those to start off a campaign. I'll also use the Google keyword tool and find as many keywords as I can. But what I then do is I run the search query report that I showed you, because that will find new keywords that Google's matched against for me, so I can then add those back in again. Okay. So we keep going through. I'm just trying to see how many. If I've not answered your question, then please do feel free to type it in again. So Chris says, is the company name automatically associated with your ads? Your domain name will, you saw in my example, helpwithppc.com appeared on the right. That is the domain name being associated with it. So that's not the company name. So it's the domain name being associated with it. And that's only if you're in the top 3. And that's only if Google is testing that feature at the time. So it doesn't seem to happen all the time. So Liam wants to know, do AdWords campaigns affect your organic results? Not in any way. No, the two are totally different. They're not linked in any way. So how do you keep the campaign local? There's a way that you can actually edit the settings so that it actually only appears within your town or within your geographical area. What are the impressions that Google AdWords talks about, says Jerry. Impressions, that's the number of times it's shown. So if it's 100 impressions, it means that people have seen it 100 times. So Yasmin wants to know about bidding. So bidding is where you say that you're willing to spend a certain amount for every click. So if you bid £1 per click, that means that's the most that you're willing to pay for that click. That's £1 per click. Fantastic. So Greg's just said he signed up. Welcome, Greg. I will be seeing you in the Facebook group shortly. Darius wants to know, do those cheesy sales landing pages work? Darius, they certainly do. So some people like them, some people don't. But you know, at the end of the day, people know that what they are showing is a list of things that you're going to get if you're going to buy something. So you know, that's the internet. Will wants to know, is there, of course, yes, if you're a VAT registered business in Ireland, if you buy it, I will then do is refund you the VAT. So I'll do a partial PayPal refund. Or if you want to email me at team, that's team, T-E-A-M, goodness me, at clairejarrett.com. And that goes for any of you. So Carla's also said, is there a way to contact you if we've got any further questions? So contact team at clairejarrett.com with your questions. Or if you want to be sent, because there probably is a way that I can set up a PayPal link so you can buy it without the VAT. So for those of you in Ireland, and I do apologise about that, I should have foreseen that question with registered 365 customers, then I will prepare a PayPal link for you and I'll email it over. Tony said, do hyphens between words work better? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Do you mean page domain names? Hyphens in domain names generally aren't a good idea, so I'm not sure if that's what you mean. So can you find out what your competitor's paying per click, says Larry? You can guess, but it will only ever be a guess. And you can probably guess from looking at their AdWords ads how high their quality score is and their ad position. So there probably is a way that you can see it. So Tony says, no, you did see the hyphens in one of my ads. Ah, right, okay. Tony, I'm not quite sure which one it is that you saw it in at the moment. There's probably a reason I was doing it. Not quite sure why at the moment. Matthew says he signed up. Lovely, I'll see you in the Facebook group in a minute then. Can I explain the difference between adverts and a campaign, asks Wendy. Well, a campaign is a container object. So a campaign holds all of the ad groups. And the ad groups then contain keywords and adverts. It's as simple as that. So I do go through this in the course. So should one ad only include one of your products and services, asks Brandon, and then separate the rest into a different group? Or can you cram a few keywords? Brandon, my advice is to put each one into its own ad group. So I tell people not to be lazy, to do it as specifically as far as you can, and that's the benefit of using the Excel spreadsheet to do it, is you can set up hundreds and hundreds of ad groups in minutes. Keith says, do AdWords only work in English? We're looking at selling to Portugal, Spain and France too. Nope, definitely not. I've done advertising in all different markets, all different countries, all over Europe, America, Canada. So yes, we've done all over the place. So sorry, Neil, I've seen that question a couple of times, just realised I've not answered it. Why does the cream ad sometimes appear at the bottom of the organic search? So yes, you're right, Neil. Sometimes the cream colour box does appear at the bottom rather than at the top. That's because Google doesn't think any of the ads are particularly relevant and it thinks the organic results are better. So unusually enough for Google to be willing to do that. But sometimes people maybe they're not paying enough or the quality score isn't high enough. So that's what's happened there. So apologies. It took me a while to answer that. So Ruth said, if you choose to lower the cost per click recommended by AdWords, does that reduce your quality score? It won't affect your quality score, no, but what might happen is you might end up getting bumped onto the right-hand side. And if you're on the right-hand side, your click-through rate will be lower, and that might reduce your quality score. So yes, it's possible. So Damien wants to know, should you add close variances of a search such as red shoe, red shoes? Now that's a really good question, Damien. Singular and plurals do act very differently. So yes, I would be adding red shoe and red shoes. And I would even be adding the reverse. So maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense here. Shoe red, but you might want shoes in red and shoe in red. So you might even want the reverse as well, especially if there's a lot of traffic in that market. So I have seen the click-through rate from the singular to the plural double. So we had an advert for locksmith versus the advert in locksmiths, and it doubled when we actually separated it out and wrote adverts, one for the singular, one for the plural. So it can be a really big difference. So somebody else just said they signed up. Apologies, your name's just disappeared off the. I've still been asked lots and lots of questions. So apologies. I'll see you shortly in the Facebook group. So Damien says, will they compete against each other? No, because Google will match it against whichever one is the most appropriate. Okay, so that'll be what happens, is it will recognize that you've got one singular ad and one plural ad with the keywords, as long as you've got the keywords in the matching ad group. So it will know that it needs to match it against the most relevant. Adrian has asked, what do I think about dynamic insertion? So this is quite a difficult, complex question. I do explain it in the advanced course. Dynamic insertion I actually think is a really bad idea, and it does lower quality score. So I won't go into any more detail than that because it's a fairly advanced topic. How many negative keywords can you have? Asked Maria. Hundreds, thousands, as many as you possibly can. There used to be companies, I have heard of one, that all they did was do negative keywords. And if you were to create a list of 1,000 negative keywords and add them to your campaign, your click-through rate could double overnight, because all of the rubbish you'd been being matched against would have disappeared. It would all be gone. So adding negative keywords, add as many as you possibly can. Mark Chase has said, am I being a bit thick? Where do I sign up? You go to www.redhotwebleads.com and you then click on the sign up now button. There'll be some buy now buttons on the page, so apologies if that wasn't clear. So Craig says, still confused about how price per click works for multiple ads at £5. So you would set, excuse me, you would set the daily budget at £5, Craig. And you would set the maximum cost per click at 50p. That would mean you could have up to 10 clicks a day before your £5 budget ran out. So hopefully that answers that. Okay, lots of thanks coming through. That's lovely. Thank you. Thank you for attending. So Ruth says, do you recommend using phrase feature? So yes, we do go through, in the course, we do go through modified, broad, exact and phrase. So that's quite a detailed, quite a detailed question that I didn't have time to go into today, but it is covered in the course. Deirdre says, are you going to send the PayPal link for Ireland later on? Deirdre, in fact, that seems to me to be a very good idea. What I'll do, when I email round the recording, I will attach the PayPal link for Ireland without VAT at the same time, for those who are within Ireland, so that they can use it. So that's only for people within Ireland, obviously, or else I would be breaking my own VAT regulations by not charging VAT. Robert said, honey, lemon, chili and mustard. I know, I apologise for my tickly throat. It must be getting on your nerves. Sorry, everybody. Natalie says, can you do AdWords on your own, or are you better off using someone to manage it for you if you're a real novice? Natalie, I strongly suggest the better educated you are, the better you will be, even if you go and use somebody else to do it afterwards, because you understand how it works. My best clients have been the ones who've been on my courses first, because they understand it. They understand how much work's involved, but they're then happy to leave me to it. But you are the best person to be starting it off and to be managing it in an ideal world, because you understand your products and services, you understand the negative keywords, what people might type if they're not looking for your product and service. So no, I strongly believe everybody needs to learn how, and exactly how AdWords works and how to set up their own campaigns, even if they then hand it over to a professional once they get too busy to manage their own, that's fine. But I strongly suggest that you do learn as much as you possibly can. Fabian says that he's in a internship abroad. Yeah, that's lovely. Good, I'm glad you find it useful. Michael says, you've mentioned making campaigns local, but which search engine, google.ie, google.co.uk, is an AdWords campaign active? If you have it set to Google, if somebody is searching from Spain, for example, with google.co.uk, they will still see adverts for the UK. That's how it works. So if they're in a different country, but they're still using the search variation for a different country, they still see ads for that country. So that will be how it works. So I hope that answers that. Ruth says, is it best to steer away from broad match? We use broad match, Ruth. That's why we have to use negatives with it. 40% of searches that are seen at any specific time are unique. And so how much are you possibly missing out on if you don't use broad match? So broad match you need to use so that Google finds new keywords for you. So what's the minimum click-through rate we should be aiming for? Asked Damien. So ideally I would be aiming for a minimum of 3, possibly up to 10. And that really does depend on, if you're in the top 3 in the cream colour box, then you should be getting like 6, 7, 8% definitely. If you don't understand what broad match is, Craig, then don't worry. I have had to occasionally dip into slightly more advanced topics that I haven't covered in full. We've got people of very varying levels. Yasmin says it's been the most educational 90 minutes she's had in years. That's lovely. Thank you, Yasmin. So Alan says, I'm a driving instructor with just one car. Will this type of advertising be good for me? Yes, Alan, without a doubt. I have driving instructors that I've worked with. Yes, definitely. The cost per click can be very low, and a client is worth a good few £100 to you long term, well, hopefully. So ideally, yes, it is. Driving instructors are ideal for AdWords. You're welcome. Paul Florin says it's been very interesting. Deirdre says, how long would it take to get the hang of this? Well, if you sat down and you watched all of the videos from redhotwebleads.com, it would take you probably a few hours to sit and watch through all of the videos. You wouldn't have to do them all at the same time. And you would then go through and practice setting some up, maybe another half a day, and then from then on you'd probably be okay to just tweak it and play with it for an hour a week, but before long you'd be down to half an hour a week. You know, it's definitely possible. But so I've got somebody who keeps saying, Mark, I do apologise, I've seen that question a couple of times now, I've realised. Would it be better to do manual bidding or let Google do auto bidding? Manual, always. Never let Google do anything automatically. Google has its own best interests at heart, not yours. I always say turn off all the automatic settings. So I don't even have enhanced CPC on, which is where Google will put the bids up to whatever it feels like it should have put it up. No, be very careful. Don't put any automatic settings on at all. Any automatic settings on at all. Just be very careful. So Mark said, can you pay by a different method other than PayPal? Yes, we have got, I can set up a direct debit through GoCardless. So GoCardless, I can email you a link. So just email me at team@clairejarrett.com and I'll email you a direct debit link and we can just set it up that way instead. So yeah, it's not a problem. If PayPal, I appreciate PayPal is sometimes an issue for some people. Lots of people saying thank you. Anil says, you're in the greetings card business. Would a spend of £5 per day be enough to start with? That's a competitive market. Probably you might be better off trying a particular type of very specific card, like 50th birthday cards, for example, something like that. So yes, give it a go, but choose something very specific. Paul says, can I pay by postal order? Postal order would be difficult, to be honest, Paul. And no reason why not, but obviously you'd pay for it and then it'll take time to get to me, and then we would be able to set up the automatic payment through. So no, it would be difficult. So it would be direct debit or PayPal. So direct debit to pay by your bank and PayPal to pay by card. So sorry for that, Paul. Louise says, I'm a small counselling service. Would AdWords be suitable for me? Yes, it definitely would, with local counselling. So if you wanted something like counselling therapy Bristol, for example, if it was local keywords like that that would work for you, then yes, AdWords definitely is for you. Shepherd says, how related is AdWords to AdSense? It's not related. AdSense is the adverts that people show on their websites. So they are normally for bloggers, and that's how they make money from their websites. So AdSense isn't something that you need to worry about here. Nigel is asking me some crazy questions about if I take green shield stamps. What are you on about? Okay, now some of you are winding me up, I swear. So how do you do a search on competitors' keywords? So you would need to use a special competitive research tool, Gemma, quite simply. So that's one of the things I would take you through on the course. Isal says, can I buy the package now and start using it after 2 months? Because I'm busy with exams for the next couple of months. Yes, of course you can. Yes, that's not a problem. And then you can book your call in for when you're done with your exams. Good luck with your exams, by the way. Julia says, is AdWords worth it for sport registration? What type, and nobody's currently advertising? That would worry me. If you've got no competitors, it worries me. Ideally, competitors are a good thing because it means there's money to be made. So no, I would probably need to hear a little bit more from you. So email me at team@clairejarrett.com just on your market, just so that I can give you a bit more advice there, I would say. So Simon, fantastic, well done for having signed up. Apply to join the Facebook page, and yes, this login does get sent through within the next hour. It will be emailed to the PayPal address. Email me at team@clairejarrett.com if you're having any problems, and I'll deal with it straight away. Claire says PPI reclaims company. Claire, PPI is extremely competitive. I can see it says you specialise in home visits. PPI is very competitive. I've worked in the market before. A typical cost per conversion is £50. If that conversion that type of cost is doable for you, then yes, it's possible. And I do actually have fairly detailed knowledge of the market and can help you pretty well with this. So PPI is one of the markets I've done a lot of work in. So do, again, email me separately, team@clairejarrett.com. Richard, you're welcome. David says, is it too early to embark on the course if I'm just setting up the website? Dave, it would be ideal to start sooner rather than later if possible, and because you will then know the type of things you're looking for on the site, and you'll have the AdWords campaign ready to go. And it might be that you wanted to book your call in before the website's finished, just so that we can help advise on landing pages, things like that. So Craig, if is only targeting one area, Glasgow, that's an advantage. So no, it's no problem at all, because you would set it up. I believe, Craig, we've had separate conversations previously. You're a magician, so you would want things like Magician Glasgow. That would be perfect. That's fantastic. Yes, definitely would work for you. Raj, I can't advise on how much it would cost to get in the cream colour box. It's very difficult to actually tell how much it is. It does depend on what your competitors are bidding. Maria says, should I point different keywords and ads to different landing pages? Yes, definitely. So ideally, you would set up different landing pages for different keywords, and especially if you were selling products, for example. So you might want to send, Dr. Martin shoes, for example, might want to go to one landing page, and then, I don't know, high heel black shoes might want to go to another, for example. So it is you do definitely want different landing pages. Right, Greg wants to know when the next London face-to-face course is. I believe it's 2 weeks' time, so it's not long away. Bye, John. John says he's going now. Do you recommend setting up an advert with remarketing? So remarketing, very briefly, is where you set up an advert that follows people around the web. So once they've been once they've visited your site once, you can follow them around the web, and lots of you will have had this done. Yes, you most definitely can and should, and sometimes the best conversions come from these spooky adverts that follow people around. So yes, definitely. Raj, the course is, if you go to redhotwebleads.com, Raj, then you can see where the how much it is. It's 197 plus VAT, then £39.50 plus VAT per month after that. Good night to those people who were saying that they're leaving. So Neil says, if the Google keyword tool says the phrase is very low in the number of searches, does it mean it's not worth using? I would say it definitely is still worth using. Remember, with AdWords, you don't pay if somebody doesn't click it. So you might end up with hundreds of ads, all of which don't get used very often, but if you add up that cumulative effect between those hundreds of adverts, you're bringing lots of very qualified traffic that, although there aren't many searches, they're very specific searches. So no, it means it's definitely even more worth looking at now. So, and then Neil's added, should we use short keywords or longer tail? Short keywords, it depends on your position in the market. So for example, things like cameras, very difficult to advertise on because it's just too broad. Digital cameras, again, too broad. But if you were to then advertise on, I don't know, Canon 4156, for example, then that would be a very, a very specific search. That's a longer tail search that is worth focusing on. Damien says, won't they affect your quality score? As long as you've got as long as you have each keyword in the advert, the quality score will be fine. So yeah, don't worry. John, you're welcome, and I'm sorry you kept losing the sound. Hopefully the recording will have it, I hope. Apprenticeship is quite a broad keyword, Fiona. I would break it down into the different types of, different types of apprentices. So Jason says, how do AdWords work with Bing, Yahoo? Are they similar to Google? Quite simply, get it right in Google. You can then import the entire campaign, and bravo, there you go. It's as easy as that. So they have an import feature that allows you to just get it. They just import it, import all the campaigns, all the keywords, all the negative keywords, all the adverts, and all your work's done for you. So it's incredible. So you just have to work on Google, and then you can import it. Jim says, seasonal business such as boarding kennel. Should I change ads seasonally with special deals? Yes, definitely. Yes, you would do. That's me saying I've held up well. I need some honey and lemon. So thank you for your concern. So Deirdre said, what about advertising soy candles? I've not heard of that market before. That's an interesting market. Probably quite a low value, I should imagine, makes it more difficult. If it's a cheaper product, unless you're going to be selling it in bulk, would make it more difficult, so you'd probably want very specific keywords. But yes, definitely could give it a go. So Keith is remarketing an integral part of AdWords. Integral as in we set it up for every client. So every client we work with, we do remarketing for, because you'd be silly not to, because you get cheaper conversions from it. Because if they've been to your site once, they're much more likely to buy, so you may as well follow them round. So yes, I would say it is pretty integral. John says I need a hot Irish whiskey. Sean says you're launching a service that will hopefully compete with Amazon. Any ideas on a ballpark bid per click? Well, that's difficult because they've set up hundreds and hundreds of adverts. Probably to appear in the bottom right hand corner with nothing but dynamic ads, I would say they've got an agreement with Google as well, so that their quality score doesn't drop even though the ads aren't in the slightest bit relevant, as I'm sure you've already seen. I would guess probably around about the 5 pence, 10 pence per click mark. It wouldn't be expensive to be in the bottom right hand corner, I would hope. Dating companies, Sharon, very competitive market, as I'm sure you're aware. I would go very carefully in the dating market niche. Probably you'd be better off with more local terms. So Bristol Dating Company or Find Singles in Bristol, that type of thing. So you might be better off looking at those. Okay, so sorry, I've got loads of questions still coming through. So Isaz says, can you repeat how to find the IP address and block it? So that will be, this has been recorded, so I will release that to you, and it'll be in the slides as well that you can download. If someone says they're an official Google partner, does that benefit me at all, Natalie? No, it doesn't in any way. It just means that they've passed the AdWords exams. So how about property, says Claire, it's a flat. Property, yes, you probably could. If it's a holiday letting, then yes. Or if it's a flat to let and you're competing with Rightmove, you might struggle because obviously you're up against the big guys. So again, I'd need to know a little bit more about that market. Maria says, what about wedding photographers? Is it better to go local? Yes. Yes, you definitely would. Local is best. Yeah. The company car market. Oh yes, definitely. Absolutely. High value client once acquired. So yes, without a doubt, Chris. Yeah, that would be a good market. Again, if you need more individual advice on your particular market, then please, I can see lots of you unsure if it will help your market. If you're not quite sure, then please do email me, and email me at team@clairejarrett.com, and I will then get back to you. What about distributors like Avon? Says Karen. That's much more difficult. You could try it, like makeup distributor, something like that. You could try it, but it would be a very difficult market. Okay, the recording, does that include all these questions and answers? So it does include all the questions and answers. It includes up to the point at which I end this and then end the recording. And what I will then do is I convert it into a YouTube file and upload it to YouTube, which is considered it's quite a big file, will then take me an hour or so. So it'll probably be tomorrow, and I will then upload it to a link on my site, and I will then email you the link to the site tomorrow. So that's how it happens. Jerry says, can you set AdWords by a time frame? Yes, you can. So this is quite common. So B2B, so business to business, we quite often set ads 8 to 6 or 9 to 5. Bye, Joseph. So I've got lots of people saying goodbye. Neil, I'm glad you've enjoyed it. You're welcome. Jane? So Jim, I've just explained about the recording of the sessions. Hopefully I just answered that, so I will email that round, the link to that tomorrow. So David says, if I wanted to pay you to look after the AdWords, so David, there's a page on the site clairejarrett.com, hire me. So if you just look at the links at the top, one of the links says hire me, then you can see that you can actually hire me instead. If you don't want to do it yourself, that's fair enough. So just click on the hire me link, and there'll be a contact form you can just fill in and request me to give you a call, and we can have a chat about it then. Sean says, do you offer a comprehensive training course with Google exams after it? Sean, I do a 2-day course, but the Google exams is a lot of self-study as well. So the Google exams, you would need to spend probably a couple of weeks studying and practicing the mock exam questions as well, because the exams themselves, it's a bit like doing your GCSE maths, they bear no relevance to the actual questions. So I teach you how to set it up properly. The exams then quiz you about X, Y, and Z, the image ads, like how many pixels wide, some quite crazy stuff. So Craig, it'd probably be best, so Craig said, how much would that cost? How much would what cost? Sorry, I think I've missed one question and started answering another. Craig, the hire me pages I've got lots of different descriptions of the rates on. If you go to clairejarrett.com, click on the page that says hire me, my prices are there for everybody to see. You can see it you just basically just go and have a look. You don't even need to get a quote. It's there for you. Keith says he'll be signing up in the morning. Lovely. So I'll see you on Facebook in the morning. Claire, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Karen and John. Jason says, would we create a different advert for every product that we did? Yes, you would do. Yes. And sometimes Sometimes you would need to create a couple depending on how people search for that product as well, so different color variations, etc. But that is best managed using the spreadsheet that is a bonus in the Red Hot Web Leads course. That would then be that you could pop each product in, pop each URL in, and then it will then turn it into a spreadsheet that you can then use to upload it to AdWords. Okay, so lots more people saying thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Sharon says, remember to get everyone to like you on Facebook. You deserve it. Oh, lovely. Bless you. So you go to facebook.com/ClaireJarrett.com. So ClaireJarrett.com. So it's not ClaireJarrett.com. It's facebook.com/ClaireJarrett.com. Okay, and that's my Facebook page. So do feel free to go and like the page, and you can post comments and post your Facebook page, and I'll come and like your page back, etc. Adriana says, I've covered basic and advanced features. Very well done. We'll join your team, definitely. Lovely. Fantastic. Well, I look forward to chatting with you on the Facebook group once you join then. Paul says, if you pay £5 a day and only get a couple of clicks a day, do you get credited what you've not used? It would just get carried over to the next day, Paul. So that would be what happened. You just wouldn't get charged it. So you only pay what you've actually been clicked for. Stal says, do I run courses in getting high organic listings? Yes, I have launched an SEO course today, but I'm not actually talking about, although I didn't want to confuse people by talking about AdWords and SEO at the same time. Yes, I have got a course, an SEO course that has literally been finished today. If you wanted a link to that, I'll email that around to everybody who's on my mailing list as well. Claire says, are AdWords the adverts that follow a Google user around? That's remarketing, Claire. So that's the different section. That's a separate campaign. And to set up a remarketing advert, you place a cookie on your website, and it means that wherever people go from then on, they get shown your adverts. So it gets sent around. Sean, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Stephen, yeah, I look forward to chatting with you. Vincent, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Claire, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Lots and lots of people all saying they really enjoyed it. Lovely, I'm glad you enjoyed it. So Keith says, we've got a global product in the property market and are trying to automate marketing. To your knowledge, does Infusionsoft and AdWords offer a good platform for this? Infusionsoft is fantastic. I use Infusionsoft, as I'm sure you know. I think I would need to know a little bit more about the type of products that you're offering and the type of thing that you've got in mind when you say automated marketing. So yeah, I think there's probably not quite enough detail there. So maybe if you wanted to have a chat afterwards, Keith, and drop me an email and we can have a chat over the phone about that. Well, I'm glad you all enjoyed it. Robert says, is there a buffet after we finish? Yes, I wish there was. For me, I think it's going to be a glass of wine, or maybe that glass of whiskey you all keep telling me I should drink to stop my throat from being tickly. Stal says he loves my Bristol accent. Oh, I'm glad you enjoy it. Oh, lovely, lovely feedback. Vincent said, a brilliant communicator. Thank you. Good night, Eddie. Sarah says, what's the Facebook page again? Let me tell you what, if I type it in and then type send to all, then I believe you will all see it. So it's www.facebook.com/ClaireJarrett.com. If I click send to all, then hopefully that means. Fadil says, so if I do the booking, am I going to attend the intro and the advanced? It's all of the content from the intro advanced courses, plus lots of bonuses as well. And you get tickets to attend the face-to-face courses as well if you want that method of learning too. Jamie says, if I leave now, can I still sign up later and watch the PowerPoint another time? Yes, you can, but obviously the bonuses for buying the product are only valid for the next 24 hours. But yes, of course, you can watch another time. Gordon just said he thought the webinar was due to start at 9. Apologies, Gordon. It has been recorded, so I will send it around. Okay, so you will get the link tomorrow. Akim says, how much is the course again? It's 197 plus VAT and then 39.50 plus VAT a month. And you can see that by going to the website redhotwebleads.com. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, lots of people all saying that they've enjoyed it and saying good night. Mark, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Right, any other questions? Are misspellings worth including? Says Rob. Yes, they are. We quite often do. So yes, it's worth looking at misspellings because sometimes a lot of people misspell things. So yes, definitely you can include a whole group full of misspellings. Fadil says, do I have to continue the monthly payment? It's entirely up to you for as long as you want to carry on receiving the updates. And bearing in mind that at any time when you want help and advice, then you would can ask in the Facebook group and you'll get your questions answered. So it's up to you. If you want your system to stay up to date, that's why I've added the monthly payment on, because people were asking, saying they wanted it to be kept up to date. So I have now kept it up to date, regular question and answer webinars, new videos being uploaded. Claire says, I want to sell my flat abroad. Can an AdWords campaign help? Yeah. Possibly. I would probably be tempted to try a property website, to be honest. AdWords might not be for you in this instance, Claire. I wouldn't want to, I don't want to kid you. That might be a difficult one. Jason says my domain has hyphens in. Is this a problem? It's certainly not a problem. For SEO, it's not ideal. But for AdWords, no problem at all. Sylvia said she had to get up at 4 a.m. It was worth getting up early for. Oh, bless you. Yeah, well, enjoy your cup of coffee, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. Okay, so any other questions that I've missed? I do apologise if you've had to type your question a few times. I have, with 500, well, in fact, I think we went up to 550 of you at one point. We had lots of you online. We're down to 179 of you are still present at the moment. So if there's 179 of you, anybody's still got questions, do feel free to ask. So, point 3, how do I get... Glenn says, how do you get the keyword up from 5 out of 10? This seems the most important thing in the webinar as it relates directly to the price. So if you're stuck at a 5 out of 10 quality score and you want to get it to a 10, what you need to keep doing is split testing ads continuously. You keep trying to write your adverts better and better and better. And what will happen is the quality score will continue to improve. Now, having said that, in some markets, quality score is very difficult to improve. But that's only in certain markets. So, for example, if I was to advertise SEO services, all of my quality scores would be a 3. And that's because people that are looking for SEO services don't click the AdWords ads. So because of the market, i.e. people don't click the ads, Google just gives a low quality score to the whole market, to the whole SEO market. So there are lots of factors involved in quality score. Janice says, how easy is it to set up a Google AdWords account? Really, really easy. So you just go to adwords.google.com and you set up an account, and you don't even have to put your credit card details in straight away. You can start playing around with it, setting up campaigns, ad groups, keywords. Nothing goes live until you enter a credit card or direct debit details. Claire, no problem. She said, want to use AdWords to point potential purchases to my estate agent website abroad. Aha, apologies, Claire. Yes, okay, that would work. Yes. Yeah, definitely. In fact, I've recently been looking to buy a flat in Marbella, and so I've been looking at ads recently myself, because a lot of the time the AdWords ads are the ones that are more relevant. Because if they're advertising to get in front of you, then they obviously really do sell what you're after. So yes, I would say that AdWords could work if it's going to an estate agency website, yes. Wendy also says she woke up at 3:30 and is in Australia to make sure we didn't miss the training. Wendy, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'm glad you got up at 3:30 a.m. That's amazing of you. Well done. Claire, no, I don't. It's not quite the same. Where's Krakow? Is that? I don't even know where that is. It doesn't sound quite as warm as Marbella though. Poland is it? I thought it might be, but wasn't sure. No, it doesn't quite sound quite as warm as Spain, I'm afraid. Larry said, remind me how I search for keywords. That is the Google keyword tool, so that's a free keyword tool. Robert says, how would you split test? You quite simply, in an ad group, set up 2 ads. And what would happen is one ad runs 50% of the time, another ad runs the other 50% of the time, and then one will get a higher click-through rate than the other. That's as simple as that. Would AdWords work to sell supplements like diet supplements, says Robin. It can do, and we have worked for a client before in this market. So yes, we can do. It depends on the supplement, and Google can get quite funny on certain supplements. So again, this is one of the cases, if you wouldn't mind emailing me, just to be sure, because I'd hate you to buy the product and then find out that your supplements are one of the ones that's banned and that you can't advertise on AdWords. So email me at team@clairejarrett.com. Alan says, how does AdWords SEO and Google relate to each other? So AdWords and SEO don't relate to each other at all. They don't affect each other. What is supposed to happen though is if you're at the top organically and in the AdWords adverts, it's supposed to mean you get higher click-through rates overall because people see it in 2 places. So they actually think they're subconsciously influenced by the fact that you're in 2 places, so you've got dominance. Ant says, can you choose the day or time of day that your ads are displayed? Yes, you most definitely can. So you can go into scheduling, ad scheduling, and you set it to whatever hours you choose. So B2B, we do 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, and sometimes calls at weekends. Deirdre says, your website comes with SEO and AdSense, but I still need AdWords. SEO takes time to work, and you only get to the top for a certain number of keywords. AdWords, you can get to the top for hundreds, so normally we do recommend AdWords as well, Deirdre. Glenn said it was worth the 2 hours just for the quality score info. Now I hope I can improve with 5 out of 10. Well, good luck, Glenn. I hope you get those quality scores fixed. Damien says, my remarketing campaign is a click-through rate excuse me, of 0.15%. Is this holding my quality score down? No, it's not, because they are looked at differently in Google's eyes. So if it's a display campaign, which is a remarketing campaign, then it means that the quality score is looked at differently. So it will not be dragging down the rest of your campaign, which is a different type of campaign than the remarketing one. So Robert says, we have a campaign which is out of our area and one that is within our area, but we need more traffic from out of our area. How can we reverse this? You would probably just need to adjust the geographical areas, adjust the bids in the different areas, maybe add more town names in, that type of thing really. So it probably is just something about looking at the geography and upping bids. Damien says, is that the case with product listing ads too? It certainly is. Product listing ads should be pretty high though, Damien. Most of the time product listing ads I've seen are anywhere between 1% and 3%, so they're normally pretty good. So I'd be surprised if the product listing ads were affecting quality score. Alan said my audio's gone. Can you still hear me? Right, so can you still hear me? Sorry, Alan said that there's no sound. Ah, right, okay, yeah, good. So you're saying I am audible. Brilliant. Fadil says, sorry Claire, somebody might have asked if we do book and is there any deadline to do courses? Well, Obviously I'm going to need some to do some making sure that I don't have full courses, so I've got too many people on each course. But basically, if you want to book a course, you just email me with your chosen date, and I can't see it being a problem because that offer's only gone out to this course. So I can't see it being a problem to fit you on the course in the next few months. If I have to, I will put extra dates on to accommodate all of you, because it would be lovely to meet as many of you as possible. Claire, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the Facebook group once you've finished buying it. Good night. Brandon says, if I were selling one of my products, can you list many cities and towns in the headlines, or should you do each separate? Separate as always, yep. Always separate. Right, okay. I think we're going to end it there. So we've gone on for an extra half an hour. That time went by really fast. If you've got any extra questions about the course, then do feel free to email me afterwards at team@clairejarrett.com. I hope you enjoyed it. And sorry, if got people saying that their question wasn't answered. If your question wasn't answered and I still missed, I do apologise. I've still had 153 of you on the line. So if your question wasn't answered, then do feel free to email me at team@clairejarrett.com and I will answer it. Apologies if I did miss your question. I did answer as many of them as I possibly could. But we'll end it there, and I will get the recording uploaded, and I'll be sending it around either later tonight, but most likely tomorrow. And I hope to see as many of you as possible in the Facebook group once you've all joined. And yeah, so I'll be talking to you soon by email or on Facebook. Thank you. Bye for now.